Hello, this is Gene. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Normally on this channel I talk about politics or the movement, whatever that is, alt-right, alt-light, white nationalism, which I'm not really that either. I'm just somebody who likes to talk about the plight of my people and what's going on in the future and where we need to go from here. I'm going to do a little different today. Sometimes I go and watch movies and I actually give a review on the movie, and I usually do it differently from a different type of perspective. A couple times you'll see on my channel I'll say an alt-right review of this movie. I did it for Breakfast Club a while back. Got some comments on it, some critiques on it. Nobody really talked about nobody really wanted to talk about what I talked about there. But I watched Endgame yesterday with my son. And to be honest, I was very disappointed. Not just because there's so much more that I want to get into that I had a problem with, but the movie was messy. It really was. And a lot of people that I've watched online with the reviews said that regardless that it was a very messy movie, that the end was enough to justify it, the 3 hours of the story that they told. There are several plot holes, scientific plot holes, that don't stand up. I remember when Inception came out, and also Interstellar, which from the same director, and there were a lot of people online talking about the big scientific plot holes and time travel or whatever they were doing on those type of things. But at least it was somewhat logical in those movies. This movie was just was everywhere, and but that's not really the issue with this movie. It's obviously a comic movie. It's supposed to be for entertainment value. It's not really supposed to move the needle when it talks about political issues. But of course, they have to do it because Hollywood is run by the same people that we talk on this channel, and they have the same agenda. So I'm going to go through the movie. Right before I get into it, there's going to be some spoilers in this movie in my review, of course. I'm going to be trying to talk about what I see in my perception of it, and you have to understand, this is just my perception. This is just like Anna Sarkeesian says, the feminist, that says that when she sees things, when her eyes were woken up to the issues, when she thinks she sees toxic masculinity, she has to call it out. And that's what I'm the same way on the other side. If I see something, I know what they're there for. I understand what the agenda is behind it, and I'm going to continually call it out when I see it. Now, again, this movie's already made $1.8 billion worldwide. It'll probably be the most profitable movie in the history of movies up to this point. I can't tell you, to me, it's not even the top 10 of all the Marvel movies. It's not better than any of the Iron Man movies. Even the second one, which wasn't that good, and the third one wasn't really that good. This movie isn't that good. Does it have decent scenes that are epic in nature? Yes. Is the fan service just a way too over the top in this movie? Yes. I'm not going to talk about this. I want to talk about how I see it from my perspective. I go into a movie and I try to be as open as I can be. And I will say, the first 2 hours of this movie, it pretty much stayed away from it. But then it had to have it at the end. Clearly, they just had to do it. They still want to be the Last Jedi going on here. This is just what it is going right now. And last night I was watching 3 movies. And all of the movies that I watched were older than this movie, of course. And they're all 10 times better than this movie. And I'll say them real quick. I watched The Thing, the remake that had Kurt Russell in it. Immortal Beloved. It was a pseudo thing about Beethoven and his loves. Now that was all bullshit. It's like Shakespeare in love. It was just like almost like fantasy for Beethoven. But the movie was great. The performances were great. The script was great. And then I watched Alien last night. I got the 4K, and it's so much unbelievable. If you guys have 4K TV and you've seen Alien on like Blu-ray or something, there's just so much lighting, or much more lighter in the movie, so you can see the corridors a lot more. Now, it might take a little bit away from the dread of being dark areas, but you see more. It's so much detail in the movie now that you can see more things. And you think of the sets and how that was done. And this was not without it as CGI at all. And then watching yesterday, that's another thing. I mean, I could talk about the technological side of that movie, and I didn't think it was very good. I don't know. I know he spent millions and millions of dollars on it, but I don't think that the CGI was that good, to be honest. As far as superhero movies, the best movie I've seen this year has been Aquaman, and Venom was better than this movie, which is shocking to me. You know, and I'm not a huge DC fanboy, but it wasn't that good. Okay, I'll give it. I would just barely give it a fresh rating if I was a critic on Rotten Tomatoes. It's probably a C plus for me. And I'll put down Chris Stuckman's review of it, and he talks about what I'm going to talk about. Now, he doesn't go where I'm going to go. He can't, because he's part of the establishment now. He has over 500,000, 1.5 million subscribers. He can't say what I'm going to say now. And I've been him and hobbing here for 7 minutes, so I need to get to it. To be honest, last night I went on YouTube and I said, is there any reviews that says it's bad? And there were several out there. And one kid, actually, he's only got 200 subscribers. So he's at the same level I am. And he talked about one scene in the movie, and then he became such a cuck about it. So I'm going to talk about that when I get to it, and we'll go from there. I actually have a little list here, because normally I don't script anything. That's why you see me stammering a lot when I'm talking, because my brain, I can't write really well since the stroke. So I just put down some of those things just to jog my mind, because there's so much in this movie and I'm going to miss some of it. But like I said, the first 2 hours, and I'm going to say something here. Most people said that they didn't like the first half hour of the movie, half of the movie, and I actually did. I actually thought, I got really invested at the very first scene when Hawkeye lost his family, and that was probably the most emotional moment in the movie. And people who know me know that I cry up a lot in movies. I do, from the stupidest things I do. And I heard everybody, I saw some reviews and said that you're going to well up in this movie. I only did once or twice, and the reason why I didn't do enough is because I wasn't influenced by the characters. The writing wasn't that good, and the performances were not that good. I don't think that any of them were that good. I don't remember her name. Oh Jesus, the girl from Inner Skin. Anyway, I don't want to call her up now. But first, because I have to do it, Brie Larson is just a bad actor. I remember when Jennifer Lawrence came out and she did. She got an American. This is very similar. Their past and their character, their career is very similar. Jennifer Lawrence won an Oscar for her portrayal in I can't remember the name of the movie. Winter's Bone, or Blood, or whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. And I thought, oh my God, this is a really good actor. And then every other performance she had, it's the same type of performance. Same thing as Kristen Stewart. They have the same issues. And it's one of those things when I say something like this, and you guys who haven't really listened to me on my other channel, I talk about that there are very, very, very few female actors that are good. Because they all have the same, they don't really change. I mean, they have the same thing that the Tom Cruise has had his entire career. You know what you're going to get from him. Now, I'll give him some credit over his years. He's gotten other roles, and he's expanded on his acting ability. But what I saw from Brie Lawrence was no difference. What I saw her in The Room, so no difference. What I've seen in other performances, and she was awful in this movie. And her arrogance in the beginning of this movie is just, it's so off-putting. And then at the end of the movie, when she basically saves the day for a minute or two, we all knew that was coming. And of course, that was one of those times that my eyes went in the back of my head. I'm like, of course it has to be. But I'll get to that as well. So there is a parallel to me between Jennifer Lawrence and her. Jennifer Lawrence, who had no real bankability in her at all, even though she had an Academy Award. she went and got onto a superhero movie, and then she decided that she was just as important as everybody else, that she could make money just from her name, and she's never did a movie that has done anything just because of her name. And the same thing with Brie Larson. Now she's a Captain Marvel, and people just go to the movie because it's a Captain Marvel movie, and they think that just she thinks because of that, and now she has the ability to just talk about her platform. And you know how this type of woman is. I mean, she thinks this is what she's supposed to be doing, and the entire movie starts at the end does this. So, what really disappointed me above Brie Larson, because I didn't expect anything from her, like I say, she's a wooden actress, was Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark. I thought it was his worst. There's a couple nice moments with when he finds his father, but other than that, I thought that he just phoned this in. This was like watching the guy from Bruce Willis. Unless he's going to be with the right director, he phones it in so much. It's like watching Nick Cage. I thought he was really bad in this, and he's like I'm not saying he's the glue of the Avengers, but he is the guy that's got the comedy relief, and you expect that he's going to save the day, and of course he does. But this, it really affected me when he, again, these are spoilers. You know he was going to die anyway, and you thought that moment was going to be very impactful. And for me, like I said, I cry a lot in movies. I do. I do. You know, there's something about me, especially after my stroke. I'm more sensitive when it comes to that, and it just happens. I just didn't. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything when he hugged Peter Parker. I just, they didn't do it well there. Also, the other one, like Helt, is now hipster. Now, of course, this kind of like falls right into Mark Ruffalo's persona anyway. That's what he thinks he is. He's a male feminist, and he wants basically women to take over everything else, and he wants everybody else to take over what the people who founded this country did. So I'm sure he was just very all about this. He's like, yeah, I'll do this. And he was, what did he do in the movie? It's just stupid. It's like, why are we putting this in the movie? Anyway. Now, these are the same thing. I talked about Brie Larson. That's the feminist side of it, okay? And we all know what she thinks well, she's not working, but she also said that this is where she can have her platform, so she wants to put it in her movies. Now we have 3 or 4 white dudes, if you consider them to be white. And you got Hulk is now a male feminist who is a hipster, and his character, the guy that actually does his character, is a male feminist. Then you got Thor, who is so devastated what happened in Infinity War, because I guess he didn't kill Thanos when he had the chance to do it. And for the 5 years, he's so bad, he's drinking his butt, you know, he's getting fat, and he ain't doing anything. And then, of course, he gets the peck pock, and he comes back, and the victory happens, and you think that that's all great, but all that was is that at the end of the day, what we did, we basically saw toxic masculinity, the circle jerk of that says that if you're this way, that you're a bad man, and then this is how it happens if you don't have any support, and now you redeemed yourself. But did he really? Then at the end of the day, he gave his kingdom to a black woman, and I'm like, why is it like that? I mean, why? I mean, there's so much here. Now again, if people are going to come onto this, I mean, obviously I've been 14 minutes, and you probably would have already taken off this channel because I'm not that entertaining. But the agenda is so clear what they're trying to do. They're trying to say you get rid of the white man who's been the leader, and then just replace it for the new, younger, more colorful race to come in and take over. We're talking about Norse legends and stuff, and you have a black woman taking over and be the king of whatever. It's bad enough for what they do. And at the end, with Captain America returning as an old white man, again, you have to watch the movie, but he got his thing. He got to stay with his girl for 50 years, and then at the end, he's there, and he gave his shield to another multicultural person, young, virile, black man. And we said it many, many times from the right, or excuse me, from the progressive side. People like Oprah saying when the white people basically died out, this country is going to be so much better. This is the same agenda. And the thing is, you think it's the white people in Hollywood that are doing this. It's not. I mean, it is, some of it. But it's the same people that are behind the censorship when it comes to talking about Israel and Florida, that are taking people offline on Facebook. These are the same freaking people. I guess they're, as even though we continue to dwindle in size, they are so afraid of the white man to be waking it up. But it's just like this media, this inside your brain saying, yeah, this is the future. Now, that all pretty much pales in comparison to me to what happened with the empowerment scene near at the end of the movie. After Captain Marvel comes in and saves the day. Now this is another. Captain Marvel is the biggest Mary Sue in history of all films, even bigger than Rey. She is clearly the biggest Mary Sue. Has so much power that she comes in and destroys Thanos' ship, and then they're all standing up there at the top of the mountain line. Oh, I'm here. I'm going to get through. And it's like they're all standing there for 10 seconds just looking around, like all the female, I guess. There's not like 78,000 nothing genders, though. I guess all the females are up there. And when, obviously, Captain Marvel didn't need any of that. She has so much powerful, she doesn't need any of those people to really help her. And the crazy thing is, if you looked at her hair, it's like she's trying to play the butch female lesbian in the movie. And again, this is just my personal opinion, and it's not like I don't have daughters who happen to be gay. I do, and I know the people that they are with. This is like a shout out to them. I'm guaranteeing you that's what this is. Now I didn't see Captain Marvel the movie, and there's a reason why, because she can't act. You know, I'm not going to sit there and watch a movie where she cannot carry a movie, regardless of people paying for it. They're paying, like I said, almost to the tune of nearly $2 billion so far in this movie, and it's not worth it. It just isn't. So, what does that really mean? It doesn't really mean anything, because people are still going to watch it, and people don't have this going on in their brain. They don't think about, oh, this is what it's here for. You know, obviously I could sit there and watch a movie that shows all men saving the day, and nobody would get upset on the other side so much. But it's just clear to me what they're trying to do. They're trying to say that the heroes in this movie that portray to be white, not all these actors are white, some are Jewish, but they portray this, and each of them are just giving it away. Stark dies at the end, and his daughter is the survivor, right? So apparently, maybe in the future, she's going to do something like her father did. So you've got the white man out of there. You got Thor, who is so broken, even though the guy has been alive for over 1,000 years, who's been in so many battles, so many people have died, but he's so broken after this that becomes basically a basement dweller who plays games, who goes on the internet, so they're going to beat somebody up, saying this is Thor. So they love to bring this shit up. They want to say this is the bad things that guys are, how they shame men so much by doing stuff like playing with video games. Personally, I think that that's not a good thing. It's not a good look for guys. That and just being on pornographic websites. But when we don't really have anything else to fight for, that's kind of like why that's there. They have no real groups to go into anymore, because everything we've had, they've been infiltrated by the other gender, because somehow we're being oppressive by doing this. So you have Thor, and then at the end, after he's redeemed himself, I guess, he gives his kingdom over to a black woman and says, "You're the real leader." Although he's been doing it for 1,000 years, she is now the next level, the evolution, and that's exactly what's trying to happen in the West right now. They're trying to say that this is the best, and that white man needs just to step out of the way, just to get out of the way. And again, with Captain America, you know, it was a nice scene and all that stuff. I don't think they didn't do it as well as they should have done. It's great that Captain America had a life with this girl. Don't know if Captain America had any kids. I mean, Nobody wants to talk about that. Why wouldn't Captain America say, I'll have 2 or 3 boys, let's say, who I will just give my shield to that? I mean, did he marry this woman and never have any kids with her? I don't understand. But this is the other problem with the white people in this country. They're not procreating. So the idea that you think that this is just there just for that, they don't show the fact that he had family, even though he's been gone for all this time, you know there's something more here. And just got to do is the people who actually wrote this stuff and all that stuff, and people that they support and their ideas they support. This is not even conspiratorial. It is clearly what it is. And of course, at the end, the whole the female empowerment. I mean, it's just so stupid. I mean, how long do we continually have to push up women to say that, okay, you've been oppressed, forever, and now we have to have this 15 seconds scene in the movie where we're all standing there like, see, we are women, hear us roar. It's so stupid. And it brings me back to the one person that, like I said, he's a small YouTuber like myself, and I just said, look, I thought his review was very good, but then he started doing this thing when he talked about that scene, because he said it was something he didn't feel right about it. And he said, but I'm for all about progressive and women need to be equal and all this shit. And I just basically responded to him. I said, stop being a cuck. You knew instinctually that there was something off with that season or that scene. And you stepped back saying, oh, I can't talk. I can't be out of line, but say what I have to say. Other than the fact you pointed it out. And I said, and that's when I went, and I actually replied to this video in a long form, and I talked about what I talked about right here. And there's so much shit in this movie, and he talks about he's all about being progressive. What's progressive? The West should be taken over by other people. That white man should not be able to speak his mind. I mean, I just basically said what I said. He was being a cuck, and I've been cucked before when it comes to shit like this, but not anymore. So. God, 20 minutes. I've been 22 minutes still just talking about this movie. Like I said, I would say it's a positive movie overall. It's just above a 6 for me out of 10. So, hey, if you want to see it you don't need to see it in the theater. The effects are not that impressive. I mean, like I said, I watched Alien last night. The movie's 40 years old, and the effects are so much better in that movie. Back when they actually build shit. And stages and sets and practical effects, the old good stage. It's just, this is where we're at right now. That Brie Larson's Captain America, Marvel makes over $1 billion. Venom, which is not that good of a movie, but still better better than this movie, made almost $900 million, and this movie's going to probably make $3 billion. This shows you where we're at right now, because we have allowed that our movie entertainment is just infiltrated with this shit, and nobody really cares because they get to see somebody they want to see, because somewhere on that screen they think they're being representative. And if that's our movie's going to be, and it's all becomes profitable, I can't really do anything about it. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. But that's basically it. Please let me know if you decide to read this or watch the entire thing. Would be shocking, but if you did, let me know what you think. I was really expecting more out of it. Infinity War is a lot better movie, and didn't have any of this other shit in it. But anyway, let me know. We'll talk about it in the comments. You guys have a good day. Bye.